thanks for watching my video. Last week we had the release of the new Werewolf game pack, and werewolves were a highly anticipated life state for The Sims 4, and after almost 8 years since The Sims 4 came out, werewolves finally made an appearance. So today we're going to be talking about the new Werewolf pack and what you'll get with it. I'll be touching on Creator Sim, the world, build and buy, and most importantly in my opinion, gameplay. So let's begin. In terms of Creator Sim, there are lots of new clothing pieces in this pack, mainly for teens and older. There really isn't much for kids and toddlers at all, which I guess makes sense as they can't be werewolves. But overall I was really pleased with most of the clothing items. As usual, there were far more items for female Sims than for male Sims. The hairstyles on offer weren't really up to my taste, but they fit in with the aesthetic of the overall pack really well, and the colourful mullet is quite unique. We also got a selection of scars to add to our Sims. Sadly though, no body hair. I was pretty sure we would get body hair with this pack, surely? Really? And in terms of wolf customization, it's pretty much the same as what we had in The Sims Cats and Dogs. You can customize your werewolf's fur, ear, nose, and you can completely customize them with the paint feature. You can cover them in stamps if you want. They are far more customizable than Sims even. And the game is called The Sims. No, I won't get into it. I did run into quite a problem the first time I used Creator Sim. My werewolf just didn't show up at all. However, I had mods installed at the time and also needed to restart the game after an update. Once I restarted the game and disabled my mods, it worked absolutely fine. There were no new traits with this pack, which I thought was a shame since it would have been cool to assign werewolf-specific traits. Maybe they could have copied some of the traits from the Pets pack, like aggressive for example. But there is a new aspiration called Werewolf Initiate, and it kind of acts like a guide to get started with the basics of being a werewolf. A guide that I was appreciative of, given that this pack does have various things to juggle, but I'll get into that a bit more in a bit. The aspiration with this pack works a bit differently to the others. You get the first few objectives to complete to get started, and these include becoming a werewolf, read werewolf books, level up to Runt, which is the first level up in the new progression system. I say new, it's the same one from Vampires, Spellcasters and Fame, and the objective of experiencing a full moon. After you complete the Werewolf Initiate aspiration, you're then given the option to choose which path you want to follow, with 4 aspirations on offer. 2 of them being focused around the 2 wolf packs, 1 of them revolving around being a lone wolf, and the last one being about becoming a normal sim again. So the aspiration covers a good amount of gameplay features with this pack, but before we get too involved with talking about gameplay, let's touch on the world. So with this game pack you get the very pretty world of Moonwood Mill. It's a fairly small world in terms of lots, there are only 5 of them. However, the world does feel a lot bigger when you're playing in it because the entire world is explorable. The only time you'll have to deal with a loading screen is if you actually go on to one of the lots. I have to say, I'm really liking the way this world is so open compared to the earlier ones. For example, if your sim is in this area down here, they can wander all the way up to this forest area without any loading screens. So it's not just set dressing this time around, and there are a few collectible items scattered around. You can send your sims to swim in the lake, you can howl to your heart's content on the howling point up here, and take in the views. Although that is pretty much all you can do up here. You may even discover the infamous Greg, a werewolf who is notorious in the town for his aggressive nature. Greg lives in a house in the forest that can't be entered, similar to the creature keeper from Cottage Living. You can summon Greg by investigating the warning signs, and he'll appear before your eyes and start some shit. Pretty much any interaction you try with this guy will lead him to beat you up. Unless you're a high-ranking werewolf, you'll likely lose and end up battered and bruised. A few new additions that came with this world are the Wolfpack Hangouts, which are rabbit hole places which I'll go into a bit more in a minute, and there are also tunnels to explore. If you look around the world, you'll notice several underground tunnels, including one that is cleverly disguised in this underground hangout. The tunnels provide lots of information in the form of pop-ups as you explore them and navigate around them. This is just a rabbit hole, but based on your decisions, you may end up fast travelling to another part of the world. You might go through a tunnel and end up coming out of a portaloo. The pop-ups give you information on the town itself, how it used to be, and it also gives some insight into the rivalry between the werewolves and the vampires. The last thing I want to touch on before delving deeper into gameplay is the Build and Buy Catalogue. The Build and Buy items are quite unique for the most part. Majority of the items have a grungy look to them, and as you'd expect, there are quite a few nods to werewolves in the items. For example, the clock with a werewolf on top, the wolf posters, and the mirror shaped like a moon. There are also two versions of a door, one with a werewolf on the front and one without. And some of my favourite quirky looking objects are the bassinet that looks like it's been built at home, a desk that has a book under one leg for support, and the telescope. There's a good amount of stuff here, and it all fits in quite nicely with the theme. Okay, so that's Create a Sim, the world, and Build and Buy. Let's look more at gameplay in this pack. So the main feature here is obviously the life state of werewolf. There are a few ways to become a werewolf. You can make one in Create a Sim, you can be born to werewolf parents, bearing in mind your sim won't become a werewolf until they are a teen or older, and your normal sims can become a werewolf by contracting werebees, which is given to sims if they're bitten by a werewolf. And once you become a werewolf, there's actually quite a lot of things you can do. When I spoke about the aspiration that comes with this pack, I mentioned that once you complete the first stage, you're given the choice of 4 follow-on aspirations, 2 of which are focused on wolf packs, and the wolf packs make up a good chunk of gameplay here. There are 2 packs to choose from. Unfortunately, there is no possible way to make your own wolf pack. If you have Get Together, you could make a wolf club, but you won't be able to operate it the same way you can do with the 2 official ones. Deep in the forest of Moonwood Mill, you'll find the Moonwood Collective, a dignified group of community-minded werewolves. The alpha, and therefore leader of the pack, is Christopher. He founded the pack many years ago and has 2 adopted children, a daughter called Rory and a son called Jacob. Jacob and his father have a very similar calm and collected nature, and Jacob is first in line to be the next alpha of the pack. Lily has been a part of the pack for a long time as well. She joined shortly after losing her closest friend to the vampires. And then we have Wolfgang, who isn't in the world, but he is a part of this pack. He's an author who writes positive books about werewolves to try and paint them as less of a scary monster and more of a friendly werewolf next door. The Moonwood Collective have a pretty tree as their pack hangout, and their main objectives are being self-sufficient, maintaining good relationships, and not feeding into negative stereotypes. Further down the path and closer to the outdoor bar, you'll find the Wildfang's wolf pack. This is a pretty small pack. You've got the alpha pack leader Rory, aka the adopted daughter of the other pack leader, Christopher. Rory used to be part of the Moonwood Collective, but she felt like the members were reluctant to embrace their werewolf nature, and basically thinks they're a bunch of pussies who would rather keep the peace and plant flowers, which was something Rory wasn't so on board with. She thinks werewolves should be free to cause havoc and basically take over the world, so she created her own pack, the Wildfangs, which probably explains why her pack is quite small. Rory is a tough alpha and gets angry pretty easily, especially if she's around her adopted father. The one and only other member of the Wildfangs is Lou. Lou became a werewolf after starting a fight with Greg, the big bad wolf, whilst on a date with Celine, the bartender. The Wildfangs have a trailer as their pack hangout, and their main objectives are to be the best werewolf possible, contribute towards the pack resources, and explore the underground tunnels. Getting into a pack is fairly easy. First off, you need a good enough relationship with the alpha to become friends of the pack. Then you'll have to do 3 things as a trial to actually join the pack. These things include scarring with a pack member or giving excellent quality food or rare collectibles to the alpha. Once you're accepted into a pack, you'll have to uphold the pack's main objectives in order to go up the rank. There are 4 ranks: Omega, Delta, Beta and Alpha. The gameplay in this pack involves a fair bit of juggling, because in addition to completing the aspiration goals and progressing through the pack ranking system, there is also the main progression system for werewolves, which is where you get to see how powerful your werewolf is and unlock abilities. Performing werewolf-specific interactions like howling, tug-of-war or scarring with other werewolves will gradually increase your progress towards the next rank in the system until you get to the top level of Apex, the most powerful werewolf, the cream of the crop. You'll unlock new interactions and abilities based on the choices you make with your progression points. You can unlock the ability to mark your territory anywhere, try to regain control during a rampage, you can unlock the pack howl, and you can even gain temperaments. Temperaments are behaviours that you'll unlock as you progress through the ranking system. They are a bit like fame quirks in my opinion. For example, one of my first temperaments was Big Bad Wolf, which gave my werewolf additional fury when angry and a want to fight other werewolves. And I later unlocked a temperament which meant my wolf would be pissed off if they saw another wolf marking their territory. There are also Dormant Unlockables, which are new abilities that are unlocked by performing related tasks. For example, if you read enough werewolf books, you'll learn how to understand messages written in moon symbols. Speaking of the moon now has different phases every night thanks to a recent update. If you check your Sims calendar, you'll be able to see what moon phase to expect in the coming days. Every moon phase comes with benefits or negative impacts. For example, one phase of the moon will make building skills or relationships faster, and other phases will increase tension in your werewolf's mood. And naturally, it goes without saying that a night with a full moon is going to be a hell of a ride. During a full moon night, werewolves will likely rampage and will be uncontrollable for a few hours. All you'll be able to do is run and destroy things. During a full moon, you just gotta wait it out until your werewolf sims regain some control. Another thing you'll notice about this pack is that there's quite a lot of lore placed around that can be uncovered. You can find information by exploring tunnels, reading books, talking to townies and reading the family bios. That's how I knew about the fallout between Rory and Christopher, leading her to create her own wolf pack. And that's how I learned about the rivalry between the werewolves and the vampires. The rivalry is referenced in quite a few pop-ups, but to be honest, you wouldn't even need to read them to learn about it. You just have your werewolf interact with a vampire and they will immediately become enemies. They can even throw fists and have a supernatural smackdown. Werewolves and dogs can howl together, but that's it. There aren't any other interactions between the two, which is a bit disappointing. So that's pretty much all I have to say about what comes with the pack. I think I've covered most things, but is it worth buying in my opinion? The Werewolf pack has a lot going for it in terms of gameplay. I recorded gameplay footage for 5 hours and even with cheating needs I barely made my way through one of the aspirations and about half of the unlockables in the ranking system. I definitely think that there's a lot of replay value in this pack if you're a fan of occults, and even experiencing everything for the first time will take quite a while to get through as well. I do think this is the best occult pack we've had so far. There was enough to keep me engaged, like unlocking abilities, whilst trying to overthrow the pack leader, whilst also trying to complete my aspiration. It didn't feel as stale as some things do in The Sims 4. I was very skeptical when this pack was announced, and I really thought that this was going to be a total copy and paste job from Vampires. I expected to be done with this pack in the space of a couple of hours, and I was pleasantly surprised. I don't even really like playing with occults, but I enjoyed this. The game ran fairly smoothly and I didn't notice any glitches as part of the pack. Every now and again my sim would not do what I told them to straight away, like I'd give them an action and they would just stand there for a few moments before doing the action, or they would cross it off and do something else. However, I'm pretty sure this is just the base game, because my sims do this after every update, and since recording my playthrough video I haven't seen anyone else report this issue as a result of the game pack. Overall, I was quite impressed, and I think that this is one of the best game packs we've had so far. If you're into occults, I do think that you'll enjoy it. If you liked vampires and spellcasters, you'll probably have a good time with this one. And on that note, I think I'm going to end this video here. I'd love to know what you think of this pack, if you already own it. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, you know I love it when you do that. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.